Well, hello. This is Cindy, Blue Star at Home, and I'm working on a piece today. And one of the questions that I get a lot is exactly how do you apply the IOD transfers? They're super easy to do, but they can be intimidating. So I wanted to hop on and show you my technique and convince you that you can do it too. So let's start by talking about what a transfer is. The IOD transfers now come in a pad, kind of like this. This is the June Ode to Henry Miller, Ode to Henry Fletcher transfer. It's a pad and it comes with 4 pages of transfer on the inside. And basically a transfer is just ink. It's just this ink that's been applied to the back of this plastic backing with the grid. And then on the back of it is a piece of paper to protect the ink. So we'll be taking the paper off when we're ready. But the great thing about these is that you can cut them apart and rearrange them, or just use whatever parts you want. So if I just wanted this fabulous Black-Eyed Susan up here, I could just trim it out and just use that flower on whatever I want. Okay, today I'm going to be using most of this transfer on a piece of furniture I'm working on. So I'm gonna, well, let's see. First thing I'm gonna do is show you, this is the bottom left of this transfer. This is a 4-page piece that fits together for one large image. Not all of the transfers are like that, but this one happens to be. And down at the bottom is all this writing, because this is a reproduction of a print done in the late, I can't remember, it's 17 or 1800s. A man commissioned some artists to put together these floral designs for every month of the year, and he sold it as a catalog. So this was actually the month of June, but the man was brilliant because every month featured flowers that he had growing in his nursery. So it was kind of like advertising for him. You love this flower here? Come by my nursery and buy some. And you don't know what it is? Well, that's what this list is at the bottom of the page. Was all the flowers that are in the arrangement that were in bloom that month. So for this particular piece, I am not going to use these words. So I'm just going to cut that section off and save it for another project, because you just never know when you might need some cool botanical words for something else. So this piece I'm going to store inside my pad to keep it protected and keep it from being lost, and so I know that it is part of this set. Okay, so here's what else I need. Scissors if you're going to trim. You need some kind of painter's tape, and inside the package comes an applicator tool. So that's really all you need, at least for step 1. So I'm going to turn this around so you can see, because you don't need to see my face. Let's see, I think that will work. So here's my transfer. I'm putting it on this chest, and I've laid the chest on its back. It's just easier to work rather than when it's vertical, although you can do it vertical. All right, so I have the luxury of having this seam up the middle of my piece, which is centered. So I'm just going to take my design and center it there as well. So I'm going to get the bottom left so I can make sure I line this up appropriately. All right, here's page 2, and I'm going to cut the words off at the bottom of this one also. there's a little design over here, so I'm gonna try to cut around it pretty tightly. Okay. So stick that away. All right. So these two, which way does this go? It goes this way. Form the bottom of the design, and I want to show you. See this little piece that sticks out? It helps you match it up with the opposing side because it sticks in. So these fit together kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, which make it so much easier to assemble than images that just have a straight line and you're trying to match a straight line, kind of like hanging wallpaper, which never hangs straight. So, let's see, this is going to go this way. So this is kind of my full image, which means the center, I need to do it this way, is, and I've got these grid lines that help also. So I'm going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. It looks like it's about 40 wide. So that means 20 is going to be kind of my center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that is going to tell me that this is probably going to be the center of my piece, about right here. And again, I've got these grid lines that are going to help me. I can line it up even with the gap in the door at the top and bottom, and that's going to help me get my image straight. All right, so this is going to go here, and I'm going to put a piece of tape to hold it in place. I will say that I used Fusion Mineral Paint on my piece, and I let it dry 24 hours. So I painted it yesterday. I've let it dry 24 hours so that I know that my surface is good and dry. You need your surface dry and you need it dust free. If you use a chalk type paint, there's so many of those on the market, but if that's the type of paint that you've painted with, then you'll want to seal it with a water-based sealer before you transfer. Do not seal it with wax. The transfer won't stick to wax. All right, so this is kind of in place, and I'm just going to confirm my height by taking this next image, and again, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, which helps me line it up. So it's going to go about right there, and that way I'm sure that I have enough. I'll turn it so you can see. I have enough room, and my image will fit at the top. Okay, so that's the game plan. All right, so turn this back around because now we're going to actually apply. So now that I know that this is where I want this piece, I'm going to slip in here behind and pull the white paper out. And then gently lay my transfer back down like that. Okay, and I've got a crease right there, so I'm going to go ahead and crease it because I've got this little ridge to go over. Right there. And then come in here. Okay. All right, so now I've kind of got it in place. So now the fun part begins. I start at a corner, it does not matter which one, but I lift the plastic and I'm going to rub right along the crease. As I lift, I rub along the crease. And you can tell when the transfer is lifting off the plastic and onto the furniture because it turns white. Right? So let me do over here so you can see it from this angle. So I'm going to lift and rub right along that crease. And if I lift it and some of the transfer is still stuck to the plastic, I just lay it back down and rub some more. So it goes quickly. If you are rubbing your arm off, the secret is to lift that edge. And it just comes, it lifts right off. Okay. All right, so see how easy this is. Now see, here you can tell that this leaf right here has not stuck down. It's still attached to the paper. So I just lay it back down and catch the end of the leaf and rub along the crease. And I want to make sure I get that crease really good, because we're fixing to go over the hump in the furniture. So whenever you have a piece that has drawers, you can decide whether you want to, continue across the separator on the drawers, or whether you want to cut it into sections and just do the drawer sections. You can do it either way. This here. Okay, so we are about finished. I'm going to take the tape off so I can get this final piece right up in here. There we go. So that is the first part of the transfer. Now, I'm going to cut a little piece of this backing off. Just helps it makes it easier if it's small. But I'm going to use the slick side, and we're going to do what we call burnishing. I'm going to rub around on the transfer to make sure that all of the edges are stuck well. And this helps ensure that your transfer stays in place. Do it along that ridge, this ridge. Burnish it down well, the whole thing. Okay, and we are ready for the next part. Now, I do want to show you right here on this edge. Let's see if you can zoom in and see. Along this edge, do you see where there's a crack in the image? That is very common. And it's just because you're going over an edge. And so anytime you go over a surface, a corner, something like that, you're going to have separation in the image of the transfer. It's also on this side, if you can see that. And that is normal. It's just part of it. So, next thing I'm going to do is take my next section here, and I'm going to take the backing off because I need to line it up. Once you take the backing off, you just have to be really careful that the transfer doesn't stick to itself. So this looks like it goes about in, that goes there, that goes there, that's in place. Alright, kind of have that in place. I'm going to take this back down, and I'm going to apply this one the same way. I'm going to start at a corner, maybe this corner, and rub. Okay, so I've got the second piece of transfer down, and I can't even tell where I joined the two pieces of transfer together. It has just come together. I know it was somewhere up in here, but I don't see the line. So it's just amazing how these fit together so easily. And seamlessly, and you can't even tell where it goes. This is just going to be beautiful. All right. The next piece, I'm just going to repeat the same system. Match the pattern off, transfer it, and burnish, and then we'll be back to discuss step 2. Okay, I'm finishing up. I'm just going to continue to, almost done, pull that tape off so I can get this last bit over here. Just continue to lift that plastic and rub right along the fold. And there we go. Okay. Okay, so the whole piece has been transferred. I'm going to burnish this last section that I just applied. But again, I cannot remember where one started and one ended. It just so seamlessly fits together. It's just amazing. Okay, so this is loose right in here. I want to make sure I press that in really well. There we go. Get all of that on. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so now we're going to talk about the next step. Okay, so now we have the transfer on, and we've put all the pieces on, and we have burnished so the image is secure. So the next step is we need to deal with all of these cracks and separations between the drawers. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So let me turn the camera where you can see. Let's see, right here, which should do it. Okay. All right, so right here is a crease in between these two drawers, and the transfer covers up that crease. Now what I used to do is take my fingernail or a knife and just stick it in and try to just cut it. But what happened was I found I was tearing my transfer. So here is my new method, and it involves a screwdriver, just a flathead screwdriver. And I'm just gonna start at one end, and I'm gonna stick it in the crease and kind of rub, and that will make the transfer stick to the side of the drawer. Just take my time and go in and just kind of punch that down and into place. That. And I'm just going to continue that all the way up. And anywhere that I have a separation between the drawers, I'm just going to punch through just like that. And it gives me a much cleaner edge at the edge of the drawer than if I stuck something in and tried to rip it, cut it across. So that's my little tip for you here. There we go. This flower right here, I think it's called a candy stripe peony. It's my understanding that they're very hard to grow. I wouldn't know. I don't really have a green thumb. See how nicely that gives you a nice edge on your design. Okay, so transfer's on. We've cleaned up all the edges where the drawers meet, the little gaps, cleaned all that up. The last step is that you need to seal your transfer. So, got a couple of options. You can seal it with a wax, or you can seal it with a water-based poly. Because I use Fusion Mineral Paint, I use Fusion top coats on mine as well. I will say that any water-based top coat will probably be fine. I don't have experience with any of them other than Fusion's top coat. So water-based wipe-on poly. It comes in two finishes, matte and gloss. So that's an option. I would do that if I were putting the transfer on top of a piece so that you've got a water-resistant barrier in case someone sets a glass or something spills or whatever on the top. This is on the front, so I'm not worried about someone setting a glass on it. So I'm going to use wax. I can use Fusion's clear furniture polish for furniture wax. This one is the infused with essential oils, so it has a really nice aroma when you're waxing, and then it dissipates, it goes away. Can you tell that I love Fusion's beeswax finish? This label, it used to be white. I've just handled it so much, I use it all the time. So both of these are great waxes for this piece. I will probably use this one today. I will say that we know that there's an incompatibility issue with Dixie Belle's what's the name of that top coat? Gator hide. So we do not recommend gator hide with our transfers because we know that there's a chemical reaction between the top coat and the transfer that causes issues. So other than that, I haven't heard of other issues, so you should be fine to use other things. Okay, so last step, I'm gonna wax this down, and then it's ready to put the hardware on. So here we go. I'm just gonna take a soft rag and kind of ball it up in my fingers and get a little bit of wax on there and just rub it in. Make sure I cover all the transfer area. I'm gonna go ahead and wax the rest of the piece so that, because your top coats will slightly change the color of your paint. So okay, so this half is done, and then I'm going to come back with a dry section of the towel and just kind of buff it. That will pick up any excess wax that I have on there, and we'll give it a really pretty soft sheen. And I will say a couple things. If you want to, once your transfer is applied and burnished, if you want to distress, it is distressable. You could take your 180 or 220 grit sandpaper and distress as much as you want. So it is distressable. If there's a place where your transfer cracked or it tore, or you have an issue, you can come back in with a little bit of paint and kind of blend it in. Of course, we're our own worst critics. We see mistakes that nobody else will see. But that all needs to be done before you wax, because wax is always last. Okay, so let me finish waxing this up, and then I'll get it ready for the big reveal.